Assalamualaikum. Welcome back. We're doing 2022 SA1 PU1 Iman Maths HL paper 2 question 7. Right, this is the last question. It's rather wordy, okay, and it's the toughest question actually. Okay, but let's slowly dwell into it. There's some parts that may need a bit of sidetrack where we need to go back and forth. Okay, so this might be a very long video. Okay, right. So reading it first, we have Sharifah Saffron. It's a small clothing factory that manufactures jeans. Okay, the owner Sharifah observes that the weekly total production cost in Australian dollars and the number of jeans produced. The weekly cost is labeled as C, and then the number of jeans produced per week is labeled as M. Okay, can be related by the equation as such. Okay, so the cost is equal to A, the number of jeans per week, raised to the power B, okay, plus K. Okay, A, B, and K are all constants. Okay, the only variable is C and N. C is the cost, N is the number of jeans per week. Right? Okay, that we are clear already. So now Sharifah estimates that the weekly total fixed cost of operating the factory is 7,500. Okay, so this term, weekly total fixed cost, okay, of operating the factory, that means you are operating the factory alone. Okay, we are not counting whether you produce any jeans or not. Okay, so the first question is write down the value of K. Right, you are supposed to use the information of the weekly total fixed cost of operating the factory to be 7,500, because when is the fixed cost, that means the number of jeans is 0. You didn't produce anything. Okay, so when you plug in 0 over here, okay, what happens is the whole equation becomes the cost, yeah, the cost, which is your 7500, is equals to K. Okay, so you have actually found out what's the value of K already. Okay, so that's why it's only 1 mark. Right? Okay, the next one is after analyzing the financial accounting records for a particular month, Sharifah finds the data given below. Okay, I did not write the data down. You are supposed to refer to your own question paper. But basically, they list down the N, the number of jeans per week, and the C, okay, the cost. Okay, so for week 1, the jeans is 200, the cost 19,500. Week 2, the jeans is 400, the cost is 29,500. Okay, for week 3, jeans 600, the cost 37,500, and then for week 4, 800 jeans at a cost of 43,500. Okay, all right. So now they want you to draw a scatter diagram of ln C minus K versus ln N. Okay, as of now, we're just going to follow the instruction. So since they want us to plot ln C minus K, which is y against x. So this is the y, ln C minus K, and then the x is ln N. Okay, so I already plugged in the numbers. I actually rounded them up to 368. Okay, you will see a different number on your GDC. Okay, so to use your GDC, what you need to do is you plug in the n that is given. Okay, you plug in under L1. Okay, and then the C that is given, you plug in under L2. Okay, then you go to L3. Okay, you go to the top. Okay, the top cell. Then you click L3. It will be L3, right? L3 equals to, and then you press ln, and then plug in L1. Okay, because you need to ln the n. So you ln the L1. So the L1 is on your calculator. Okay, you need to press, if I'm not wrong, on your GDC, right? You need to press second 1. Okay, that will give you your L1. Okay, so for L3 you press ln and then L1. Okay, for L4, okay, you press ln, okay, then bracket, right? Okay, then L2, and then include minus 7500. Okay, all in one equation. So it's L4 is equals to ln of L2 minus 7500 in the bracket. Okay, close the bracket, they will give you the list of numbers. Okay, so we use your GDC to get all the numbers out very fast, okay, in the form of a table, right? Okay, so having done that, you will see that when you plot the scatter plot, it will be a straight line. Okay, it will be linear. Okay, it will be a straight line. So the x-axis is now ln n and the y-axis is ln c minus k. Okay, when you plot this in your exams, right, make sure the distance here, right, is quite large, because when you plot, it will be quite large here, and then this one will be quite evenly spaced out, but for this one is rather large. So take note of that. Don't just draw any random 4 points. You need to show the difference. Okay, right. So by drawing that, you already have 4 marks. Okay. The next question is state the type of model that best fits the data displayed on your scatter diagram. So since it's linear, so the data fits this is B, right? Okay. So the data fits a linear model. Okay, it's a linear model. Okay. Alright. Next one is write down the equation of the regression line ln c minus k on ln n. Okay, so this one you can just press your stat calculate, go to linear regression, which is number 4. Okay, go to number 4, and then they will automatically give you the A and B. Okay, so I've already done. So let me check my book. Okay. So basically, I write the equation here. It will be ln c minus k. This one is the y, so it's always y equals to x. So this one is just ln c minus k, and then it's equals to the b is the gradient is like that. Okay, ln n. Okay, and then after that plus 5.17. Okay, let me double check that. Okay, 0.8. Okay, the x is now ln n. So you don't write x, you write ln n. Okay, so 0.8 is the gradient, and then ln n and plus 5.17. Okay, all these have been rounded up. Okay, this one is actually 0.7999 or something. Okay, so we actually round it up. Okay, right. So as of now, right, you are just playing with the numbers as what was instructed to you, but you still haven't know the reason behind it. Okay, so for the reason behind it, I will have to pause the video. I bring you to the other whiteboard. Okay, that will explain how come this equation will end up to be linear, and then I'll come back here again. Right? Right, welcome back. Okay, so I do a segue to this portion. Basically, this portion is just to show you how come all those ln and stuff like that actually creates a linear model. Okay, so you start with this thing first. Okay, this was given to you. Okay, C is equals to A n to the power B plus K. Okay, so because there is a ln C minus K, right? So if you bring the K to the other side, so there is a C minus K component over here. Okay, so leaving the A n to the power B on the right side. Okay, then you actually ln both sides. Okay, then you ln both sides, the ln C minus K will start to appear already. Okay, and then on this side, because it's made up of a multiplication of two functions, okay, or maybe this one is just a constant, okay, you can actually split it up, okay, for ln. So it's actually ln A, one component, and then ln n to the power b, the other component. Okay, and knowing our logarithm rules, we know the b can be brought down in a way. Okay, so it's brought down. So the ln c minus k is the same. Okay, the ln a is the same, and then plus b ln n multiplied. Okay, doing some rearrangement over on the right side, just switching the position. What you get is ln c minus k. The b now is on the first term, and then ln a is on the other side. Okay, but when you do so, okay, this part is just a function, so it's the capital Y. Okay, b is actually a constant, so we can call it, for now we can call it a gradient, m. Okay, ln n is not a constant, it's a variable, so that means ln n is another function, so it's x. Okay. And then ln a, again, a is a constant, so when you ln a constant, it's still a constant, so it's plus c. Okay, so later on, when I bring you back to that part of the whiteboard, you will see that the C is actually the y-intercept, right? It's linked to the log A. Okay. M is actually the gradient. The gradient is linked to the B. Right? So let's go back to the other whiteboard. Right? So we're back on this board. Okay, so earlier we stopped here. Okay, and then the next question for part E, they say is hence find the value of A and the value of B. Okay, so you need to relate back to that particular board. Earlier we mentioned that the y-intercept is now considered log A. Okay, so log A will now be your 5.17, that will give our A to be 176 when rounded off. Okay, and then B will just be the gradient, so B is just 0.8. Okay, so that done. Okay, of course you must write that equation, okay, to deserve the 4 marks. You cannot just write down the log A and then B should be just like that. Okay, you need to substantiate with that particular working. Okay. The next one, this is Sharifah wishes to increase the production of genes up to 1,000 pairs of genes per week. And then using Sharifah's equation, find the weekly total cost of producing 1,000 genes. Okay, you can plug in the 1,000 genes over here, but that will not help much because your C is not standalone. It is linked to the K, so therefore it will be a hassle for you to bring over and do the calculation as you want it to be lah. Okay, so what you can do is you go back to Sharifah's original equation, which is at the top here. That will give the cost straight away because the C equals to and nothing else is attached to the C. Okay, so when you plug in all the numbers down, it should give you 51,709 and 20 cents. Okay, your number might differ a little bit if your rounding off was not done earlier. If you were to use like 175.9 and then the 0.8 also use the non-rounded off numbers, these numbers might change. Okay, but we would like to see that you actually plug in the numbers correctly. Okay, so that will be the total cost of producing 1,000 genes. Okay, the last part G, suggests whether it is appropriate to use Sharifah's formula and then give a reason. Okay, so for this part, there's a concept called extrapolation. Okay, what is extrapolation? Extrapolation is when you extend your result to a number that is beyond your data. Okay, since Sharifah only collected data from 200 to 800. Okay, she didn't collect data for 1000. Okay, so therefore this data of 1000 is beyond the 800. Okay, beyond the data, beyond the domain. Okay, we say this is called an extrapolation. Okay, and we strongly, highly do not recommend extrapolation. Okay, so therefore when they say is it appropriate, the answer is no, it is not appropriate for us to use Sharifah's equation. The reason being the 1000 genes is actually beyond the data that is collected, which is from 200 to 800. Okay, so hope that these videos of going through paper 2 questions for your past SA1, I hope it has benefited you. Okay, so that's it for today. Akhir Solidio. Assalamualaikum.